Summer in Campbell River can get extremely hot, as most Campbell Riverites know. Temperature soaring above 30 degrees Celsius makes this one of the cool commodities. It's water plain and simple, and like always, residents are being asked to conserve it. City officials are again implementing water restrictions.
So the city has water sprinkling restrictions in the summer, and they go in effect from, I think it's May 1st to September 15th. And generally the reason we have those is to try and reduce residential water use in the outdoors, because that really makes up the majority of the water use. And the water restrictions are for odd houses. You can water on odd days before 7 and after 7 in the evening, and on even houses before 7 and after 7 on even days. Well, the restrictions apply across the board for everyone, commercial, industrial, for lawn watering. There are some exceptions. Golf courses are exempt because they pay for their water and that's their business. Similarly, anyone who actually keeps green grass for any like sports fields, they're exempt. And we do have exemptions for residents who are planting new sod, but we encourage people to do that in the spring or in the fall because generally the rain is a lot more, and so you don't need to water as much. Most people are pretty good about following the restrictions already. We do have some people who like to water during the day. Some people are retired and they'll be at home during that time.
So the city has made it fairly clear about when and on what days you can start watering your lawn. So what happens when you pull out the old hose and start watering outside the designated times?
So there's a fine for $75 if you don't follow the restrictions, which we can enforce under our bylaws. Generally, we try to educate people, and we're really trying to encourage people, because if they understand why we're doing it, usually people understand and they comply with those regulations.
And if you're wondering what motivates the city to put these restrictions in place, well, the city says it's because Campbell River uses an enormous amount of water in the summer months. And one of the biggest concerns of so much usage is the danger of forest fires and the lack of water to fight them.
Definitely, Campbell River, we're getting the hot weather now in the summertime. It's nice and dry, so just want everybody out there to be careful, especially with beach fires and out in the bush there. There's lots of bush around Campbell River, so be careful with smoking cigarettes and all that kind of stuff. Make sure you don't throw your butts out the window, and fire safe.
The math isn't hard. More people using water at the same time, less water available in case of emergency. So why does the salmon capital use so much?
That's a good question. In 2005, the average residential water use was about 556 liters per capita per day. So that means each person used about 556 liters every day. That's huge compared to what the average in BC is, which is 440, and even bigger than, of course, the average in Canada, which is lower at 343. And the question is always why? Well, why does Campbell River use so much water? Generally it is because it rains so much here. People on the western coast seem to use more water, and that's because there is the perception that there's so much water and it's in abundance. And here in Campbell River, generally the water rates are very low, so a lot of people don't put a lot of value on their water.
One family that does put a lot of value on their water is the Benoit family, who's been using the same well for 12 years.
We value our water, yes. We're lucky we have a good, strong well. Not everybody's as lucky as us, but we've been fairly fortunate, and as long as we're careful, then we don't seem to do too bad with our water. Well, if everybody tried to do what we did, as far as you don't run your dishwasher unless it's full, you don't do half loads of laundry, if you're a little bit more conscientious of the little things, it would make a huge difference. Teaching the kids right from the start, shutting the water off while they're brushing their teeth, don't keep it running. All those little things make a huge difference for us. So if it was done on a huge scale in town, I'm sure it would make a big difference in the water consumption of Campbell River. Yeah, this isn't full yet because there's still room up top and we still have a little bit of room. I have to use it more often than most people because I have the daycare, but we make sure it's jam full, and I turn it on at nighttime when we go to bed. That's not full yet. That has to be fuller before we can do the load.
Another thing that we do is if we empty the dog's dish to give them new water, we put it on a plant or something so we're not wasting water.
So do you think people in town make too much of a fuss about having to save water?
Yeah, I think so. I think they're just used to having the nice green lawns and the big flower gardens, but if you get used to it, it's not really that bad. just have lots of trees and stuff that can live without water. And we have to be careful about conserving water so we don't run out of water. And I think the rest of Campbell River should learn how to do that.
So the Benoit family doesn't have much of a green yard, but they say that's okay.
Personally, I don't think they really look that bad as long as there's no weeds sticking out.
Okay, they might have some green.
The only thing we have that's green is weeds.
Weeds or dandelions.
We do have some things that you can do, even though you can't use a sprinkler. You can use shut-off for watering plants and trees and things like that, as long as you have automatic shut-off on your hose. Drip irrigation, micro-drip irrigation is acceptable because it really just lets water fall into the ground instead of springing it up into the air. So it's a much more efficient use of your water. And rain barrels and things like that are other ways that you can more efficiently use your water.
Right.
Also, you really don't need to water that much. It's a real misconception. You only need to water your lawn 1 inch a week, and usually you get about 1 inch a week in rain. So you could just let your lawn go dormant for the summer as well if you wanted to.
But Campbell River isn't the only city by any means that's had to lay down restrictions this summer. Both Nanaimo and Vancouver, for example, also have similar rules in effect. Here's how it breaks down. In Nanaimo, you can forget about washing your new SUV or watering the garden between 10 a.m. and 4 p.m. That's a little different from Campbell River 7 to 7. But the same rules do apply for when even and odd houses can water their lawns, even on even days and odd on odd days. The fine, however, for Nanaimo is $100, $25 more than Campbell River's. In Greater Vancouver, squeeze your H2O use between 4 and 9 a.m. and or 7 to 10 p.m. The big differences are that even addresses can only water Wednesdays and Saturdays, while odds can only water Thursdays and Sundays. And the penalty for not following the rules? Well, nothing. Unless it becomes excessive, in which case you could face up to a $2,000 fine.
A lot of other communities, though, are moving to a 3-stage restriction, and that's generally because they're limited on the amount of water they have in their source water. And here in Campbell River, we don't have a limit on our source water, so we don't reduce the amount of water we have in our reservoir. The only thing we're limited to is the amount of water that we can transfer from our source water to the community, and that's really limited by the size of pipes that are in the ground. With our water, we actually share our water source with the salmon and the environment, as well as BC Hydro. So what happens is there's a dam up at John Hart Lake, and so the water that flows through there generally gets, power gets generated with that water. But we pull off our water for drinking water first. So every drop that we use for drinking water is not able to be generated for power, and of course we have to ensure that the fish have water first.
As the summer continues to become hotter and drier, water conservation becomes an increasing concern, so some city councilors are putting together a new strategy. It's called the Brown is Beautiful campaign, headed up by Morgan Osler. The city prints out and distributes small Brown is Beautiful signs to discourage lawn watering, a strategy that has been done before in other communities. There's not much telling what kind of impact this will have on water usage in the city, but at least one city councillor feels support for the campaign may not be so strong amongst the community.
Because what it does is it discourages people from really looking after their yards the way a lot of them want to. And I've had a lot of people, an awful lot of people, and not one opposed to what I have said, but a lot of people who have agreed with what I've said, in that they want to keep their flowers and their trees and their shrubs and their lawns nice and plush and nice and green, because that's what they enjoy about their yards and about our community.
But keeping yards plush and green doesn't come without a price tag. If water usage trends continue to climb the way they are, the city says you won't be looking at an upgrade in fines for watering, but an upgrade in infrastructure, an option that would cost tens of millions of dollars. That would include beefing up transmission lines and bringing a second water source supply online earlier than anticipated. It seems the easiest way to slow this process is for town residents to use less water. But it's going to take more than just that. The city might have to cut back also, instead of watering new lawns in the heat of the Canada Day weekend, although the bylaw says that was an exemption.
So if people want to request an exemption for a newly sodded lawn, or if they would like to report someone who is violating the restrictions, or just get more information, they can call the city's hotline at 286-5733, or they can email us at water.wise@campbellriver.ca.
to me, a green lawn is important, and I think that the majority of the people in Campbell River would agree with me that a green lawn is very important, in that when they drive home in the evening after work, they come home and they see their beautifully manicured green grass and the flowers and everything around their yard in the summertime especially, and even in the winter we have green grass. And people it just seem to have a better, happier lifestyle and a happier outlook on life when they see their grass and when they see their neighbors' grasses looked after the same, and when they see that the city is taking care of their grass as well.
So with this summer heat, you can expect to see people down enjoying themselves at the beach, grabbing some ice cream down on Discovery Pier, or taking in the beautiful scenery here. And oh, you'll probably see more than a few brown lawns also. Whether they're beautiful or not, that's for you to decide. For CRTV, I'm Joel Baycroft.